The Blues hit the bye limping and fumbling for answers. In a game that marked Toby Greene's 250th, the Giants delivered a masterclass on how to beat Carlton. And the way to beat them is let them do it themselves. The Giants just waited for the Blues to turn it over, and it was an absolute masterclass from GWS in how you let Carlton hang themselves with the rope they make. GWS were undermanned in midfield, and they found a way to systematically get the Blues stamped down and get them to kick long, and ultimately kicking it to contest, which Lockie Ash and Whitfield feasted on down at half-back. It leaves the Blues now needing to win nearly every game on the way home and hoping for a resurgent 2023-like back end of the year after the bye. For the Giants, it gives them another chance to really cement this spot in the top 8, which over the last 5 games, they've tried to let go. And this one, it feels like it stings a little bit more than most. They were meant to win. This was meant to be the banker. This was one that the Blues couldn't lose. But in the end, they did. And it's the same tale of poor ball use, poor efficiency, and abysmal movement inside 50. We're going to break it all down as we always do. Let's run that intro and let's get into it. From the opening bounce, it looked like this was going to be a ripper in the first quarter. Both the Blues and GWS traded blows, and it looked like it was a high-scoring shootout. It was clear that the Giants were going to be more composed. The Blues worked so hard to get the ball inside 50, and at times, a few lax decisions by the Blues. Sam Walsh inexcusably running too far in the back half of the ground. The Blues conceded goals, but they were goals that you could easily fix. It was through their own doing. The big concern was the Blues were probably playing the best football in the first, but couldn't get that runaway lead that they desperately craved. Charlie Curnow, he looked in and about early, kicking an absolute stonking goal from 60 metres after a heartfelt tribute to the late Robert Walls. But the second quarter summed up the Blue Baggers' year. Total dominance in territory and kicking 1 goal, 5 bombs into 50, wasteful clearances down the wing, and at times just using the ball too much and not trying to get overlap run. The amount of times the Blues overlap ran and ignored runners was inexcusable. There was a great passage of play where Patrick Cripps was guilty of this in the third, where Ollie's running next to him. He could change the angle with a handball. He goes straight down and it's an intercept in the pocket. In the third quarter, there was a brief pulse from the Blues, but once they got back within 3 quarters, they queued in the rack a loose goal down the other end, and before you know it, the Giants waltzed it home, and that was really the tale of the tape. The fourth quarter, the Blues just jogged and watched the Giants monster them. And in the end, it leaves you thinking that there's no real ball skills with this team. There's no real kicking talent. They're very unimaginative. When the game goes against them, they can't bring it back into their own stand. This was a bad loss, as we've seen from the Blues, in a game which really they needed to win and should win. Let's tactical deep dive then. The first thing we've got to talk about is the Blues inside 50s. They went in 58 times. That's 9 more than GWS. Only 12 goals. Only 12 goals. And why is that? Because the entries never change. It's high, it's long, it's slow, it's kicking to contest, it's not trying to pick your way through. It's the same people targeted Charlie Curnow and Harry. And when they moved Lewis Young out of the forward line in the second half, it was even easier because Himmelberg just played loose. And then he even had the luxury of going forward in that third. But they can just single players and then play one loose. And Lee Kalia, he looked all Australian in this. He couldn't believe his luck that Sam Taylor and Buckley took the 2 big guys. And Lee Kalia and Himmelberg, when he slid down back, could just chop and choose where to go. And it's slow, it's arduous. They don't look to change the angles. It's almost signposted now that the Blues will get it up to the wing and try and get it inside 50 as quickly as possible. And when you look at everyone else who goes low and shallow and tries to get it, it's system poor, skill-based cure. The wingers stick too deep, so they don't even look to overlap run. That passage of play we talked about where I'm not picking on Cripps, but Holly Hollins is inside you. Handball to him and change the angle and give yourself a hit-up lead. The amount of leads that I missed when Will White led into the pocket and Carlton still go to Harry, it's so poor. And at the minute, the Blues are really craving for someone to change the angles. The fact that they had it in the first quarter with Ollie Hollins and he was quickly moved to the back pocket just shows how reactive Carlton are to situation. It was going well, but they were getting caught on the back. And instead of saying, let's shorten the ball movement, let's make sure, let's overlap in numbers, they reacted by bringing more players back, which then just makes the system work. There's a lot of people crying out for players like Liam McMahon to come into this team and Carlton pick him up. I dread to think what would happen if you gave Michael Voss another key forward, because he's got 2 already and he's just expect them to do loads. Play 6 and it become even more static and more pragmatic. It's absolutely balmy. I don't know if Carlton's midfielders are paid by the pound for every time they kick to Harry and Charlie, because if it is, no wonder they're earning millions. The variety there and the ability between Voss to change it up, but also the players, is mind-numbing, and it is every game. And the only time it shell-shocks teams is when Carlton gain that midfield power and they can hold the team inside 50. Once you work a way out of it, it's game over. And then let's talk about the midfield cohesion or lack thereof. Cripps, Cherry, Walsh, rinse, repeat with George Hewitt. Well, GWS throwing PODs in there, Green slingshotting in there, Whitfield slinging shot there, Harvey Thomas, Xavier O'Hallahan taking Finn Callahan's position and looking world class. What do Carlton do? Carlton is continuing to play Motlop in there. Now, I try and defend Motlop because I'm not stupid. I know this isn't his position. But Carlton, my wife calls me stubborn. We're looking at 11 games of this now. I don't know what Michael Voss is seeing, but Motlop, if anything, gets in the way of that midfield. But the midfield quartet, them big boys, once they get overawed, it's the same stuff. The amount of times Cripps, Hewitt did it this week, Cherry did it, TDK was guilty of it numerous times. Handball to each other when the pressure is there. It's almost like no one wants to get it out of the mixer. And at times it's actually scary because the Blues did win numerically around stoppage. But when you're that much up on contested ball, you need to get this out onto the wits. You need to start getting to play football. And the Blues look tired very quickly because this is an archaic game style. This is slow. This is combative. You are never going to get ascension. And GWS couldn't believe their luck that the Blues were trying to play and rambunctiously just smash through them. And GWS were like, okay, we'll take away the short options. The Blues will cough it up and we'll hit them on the slingshot. And that is time and time again. And then point 3, skill execution. This is death by 1,000 cuts, self-inflicted. The defence didn't just concede over 100 points. It was the way they concede them. Turnovers in your forward half of the ground. Missing targets, senior players. Harry Mackay's left foot clanger inside 50. Stard's multiple blind kicks. Wheatering's drop chest mark. Will White inexcusably trying to do a chip kick in between nobody when there was Durden on the lead. Against transition-based teams, you've got to be good and you've got to make sure. And Carlton, if anything, go longer. We saw it against Adelaide. Go longer, cough the ball up. Against GWS, we said their one wood is their defensive half scores. And the Blues just cough it up there. It's like they hadn't seen them. And that is worrying because, no offence to GWS, I keep calling them frauds. Don't worry, Carlton are the king of the frauds. I've given them that crown. So GWS, you're second to us. But this is how they play. You've just seen Fremantle dominate by slowing the game down and then getting it out wide when you get your numbers. So Fremantle, what they did is they slowed it around the contest to get numbers up and around the ball and then go bang. So if we concede, I'm here. Sarong was sat in front. If we concede territory, we're going to win territory. If we concede possession here, the midfield is set. We're going to stop it leaving. The Blues were just so far away from support. There was a lot of times Sard burst through. No one's running with him. And Carlton's disposal efficiency kills them. A lot of going sideways with no purpose. The amount of times Carlton do that slow switch, only to kick it down the wing on the other side, is mind-boggling. This is so poor. It's labour-intensive movement. They get nowhere quickly. They're burning energy without it. It's almost like Carlton are trying to solve a Rubik's Cube upside down in a tank full of fucking sharks. When it's just simple, just smash the fucker with a hammer and put it together and tell everyone you did it. It is mind-boggling, and it is so labour-intensive, and if it doesn't get the results on the scoreboard like it didn't this week, when they have a quarter and a bit where they're the better side, it leaves the door open because other sides like GWS maximise their opportunities, and the Blues were really poor. Really poor. Harry O'Farrell was an incredible positive today, it has to be said, Don. He's going to be one of the takeaways this week. He played out in front, he attacked his man. At times he made McGovern, Haynes and Wheatering look like the immature one. He kept in front. He said, this is my position. He used his body well, and he attacked that ball at the highest point. That was one of the takeaways. Cooper Lord tried so hard as well with his 21 touches, 5 scoring involvements, 1 goal. Worked hard, and at times people really did let him down with some of the second and third efforts. And Shearer, again, 23 touches, 8 scoring involvements. Tried to create it from something, from nothing. The spark remains, but again, in that fourth quarter, way too safe with his ball use. He has to be the metronome. Sam Dockety's IQ at times did stand out this week. 30 touches, a lot of the ball. At times, he did look very reliable, and I don't think he used it that badly this week. Him at half-back, he knew when to go, when not to, but at times, again, he was exposed when the orange horde came. Let's look at GWS. Toby Greene, 28 touches, 3 goals, 13 scoring involvements, genuine captain's game, and a genuine concern that Voss in the pre-game said that he had a plan for him. This must be the same Heaney plan. It's shit. Lachlan Ash, again, another halfback, destroys us. 28 touches, 700 metres gained. He was everywhere. His ability just to play Carlton's pressure against them was insane. And the same with Lockie Whitfield. Tactical masterclass. Used the ball so cleverly. Was in and around. And let's look at the talking points. The Mackay-Curnow duo has to be on a microscope. One fires for a quarter, and then the other one goes AWOL, and then they all go AWOL for 2 quarters. Neither are supported at the minute by each other, and they're certainly not supported by their smalls as well. It is really a concern that we're starting to see both of them lead into the same patterns as well, which is something we praised them for. Even when we were losing, they were starting to create that separation. When Young went out of that, these two were just going to the same area all the time. And Durden and Motlop combining for 3 score involvements. Their fullback and back pocket had more score involvements, Jacob Weir and Sam Taylor, than Carlton's pocket forwards. That is a concern. Like, I'm not counting Will White in this conversation. I'm not counting Lockie Fogarty. These two are meant to be the guys that are the dynamic ones, the game changers. Fogarty's our pressure. Will White's a VFL baby. What is going on there? They're senior players now, by age. Senior players, they need to be setting a standard. Jacob Wheatering, finally, Carlton's game plan that relies so heavily on Cripps to have 30 touches, 4 goals. Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay to keep 20 between them. And then Jacob Wheatering to be like the Mongol army in the fucking 6th century, just conquering everyone for banter. When that doesn't work, this is what happens. Wheatering needed to play somewhere between Prime Sauce and Dustin Fletcher to even survive this game. And this was just a normal key defender's game when you're under the coach. He got exposed because he's been facing more inside 50s than he probably did in 2018 at times. He's probably having flashbacks. He probably wakes up and goes, "No, Brendan!" So this is a problem. This is a problem for the Blues because it's so individual-based. It's not team-based, system-based. It's our game plan is one of our stars will have a blinder. And when they don't, big month ahead for the Blues. They have the week off now. And you know what? I don't think a Charlie Curnow crusty camp style experience is going to fix it this time. Whatever circuit breaker happened then, they know what it is. I think it's much deeper than that. But at the minute, they need a total football reset. It's almost like, you know when you put your phone, when you drop it in the loo, in rice, and you just leave it there for a week and hope it's okay, and then you do a factory reset and you just pray to Christ it turns on. All these buggers need to be put in rice, just left overnight in a larder somewhere, and hopefully they come back footballers, because at the minute, the football is horrible, the style is horrible, their confidence is horrible, the way they go about their business is horrible, their ball skills, their kicking, their handball, their knowledge, everything at the minute has no variation, no spark, and unless it's on their terms, it's poor. And they've got some easy games, Essendon Eagles, North Melbourne to come. The dream technically is there, but finals is hanging by a thread, and I think it's a disgrace to even talk about finals. Like, sneaking into finals with this draw isn't good, and they need to start saving themselves ASAP, because this is a disaster. I'm sorry we've got no positivity here. Much love. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Pom out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.